Do you battle the fear that you're not doing enough? I'm not moving forward. I'm not productive enough. Yes. Lots of people do. We all have days when nothing we do feels good enough. For most people, this feeling passes and doesn't necessarily impact daily living. But for others, a fear of imperfection. So, the first thing I want you to recognize is the whole "I'm not good enough" thing is not personal to you. We all have it. It's like our mind's default factory setting. In fact, you and I can admit that often there are battles going on in our mind. You're not productive enough, you're not achieving enough, and even, you're not accomplishing enough for God. There's a great chance that you can relate. In fact, it's reported that the greatest fear of people today is living a life that doesn't make a difference. We long to be world changers and life givers. Possibly more than those before us. We believe we were each brought into this life for a radical mission. We become consumed with where we think we need to be, and anything that doesn't contribute to getting there, such as watching a movie or taking a vacation, is a distraction that we're made to feel guilty about. Satan's plan is to driven people to get incredibly frustrated and feel they are not making constant headway towards the mission. This is the devil's trap. Satan wants to set each of us on treadmill of works to wear us down and burn us out. While we're expending so much energy to reach our goals, he moves ahead to drag us further and further into the distance of more pity and frustrated. When you find yourself frozen in place by a fear of not being good enough, you can get moving again with a few mindset shifts. Thankfully, there's a way out of the madness. Here are 6 truths to defeat the battle of mind not doing enough. Truth number 1. You aren't going to miss out on anything. God ensures that you're in the right place, with the right people and at the right time. Perhaps one of the greatest fears that drives us to overachievement is that we might miss out on my destiny. This might sound silly to some, but the fear of missing out is paramount among today's generation. Many have a compulsive concern that they'll miss an opportunity, and so, they worry they are not seizing every moment. But here's the truth that should ease you in the thought of "what if I miss out on something" mode. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. Psalm 37 verse 23. Remember that it's God who directs your steps. He ensures that you're in the right place, with the right people and at the right time. There's no need to fear that you'll miss out. You are right where God wants you. Truth number 2. You can never do enough. God sent Jesus to do for us what we could never do for ourselves. You must accept the reality that you can never do enough. And that's okay. In fact, this is one of the fundamental reasons God sent Jesus. For thousands of years, humanity's approval before God was based upon upholding a complex set of laws, that is, a whole bunch of doing, but the people always fell short. God sent Jesus to do for us what we could never do for ourselves. And Jesus' work on our behalf was more than enough forever. Don't let the devil convince you that more has to be done. Truth number 3. Remember to love yourself for who you are. Sometimes, you don't feel good enough because you compare yourself to other people. Stop this. You need to remember that you bring so much to the table and the world would be so different without you. Learning to shut the chatter off from the outside world and love yourself for who you are today is what's important. The fact is that there is no perfect being. Everybody has been created differently, and most importantly, in God's image. I like to use this analogy. When you are on a plane before takeoff, the flight attendant talks about securing your own oxygen mask first, before helping anybody else. The reason they say this is because if you are not getting oxygen yourself, then you are not going to be conscious to be able to secure anybody else's mask. This also applies when learning to love yourself. If you are not able to give yourself the love that you so truly deserve and need, how are you going to give it to another? Truth number 4. It's okay to be unproductive. This is a hard truth for me. But it's a fact. God created us to rest. Hear this, God says it's okay to take a break. Early on in humankind's history, God instituted a law of rest. He knew of the people's tendency to find identity in their work. This was true especially in the days before Jesus, when works were the basis of one's acceptance by God. But He instituted the Sabbath to force people to rest. Jesus later revealed, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of the people, Mark 2 verse 27. That is, God knows that we need some downtime. I'm not talking about becoming a sluggard or lazy person. Rather, this is permission to have completely unproductive moments and not feel guilty about them. Hear this, God says it's okay to take a break. Truth. Number 5. Your what isn't in your work. It's crucial that you look to God to define your worth. To be clear, there is nothing wrong with realizing and admitting the truth about ourselves and where we are falling short when the words we tell ourselves are true and constructive. But there is a huge difference between recognizing a harmful behavior and letting that behavior or attribute define who you are and what you're worth. This is dangerous. The problem comes when you start looking for your what and your identity in things or labels instead of the Jesus. And if that is the basis of your significance, you will find yourself always on the stage of somewhere between extreme highs and extreme lows. It's crucial is necessary that you look up to God to define your worth. Here's truth. You are created in God's image, Genesis 1 verse 26 to 27, fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 129 verse 13 to 16, and chosen as His even before creation, Ephesians 1 verse 4. Your worth is that God considers you His friend, John 15 verse 15. So your worth is what God says you are and not your walk. Truth. Number 6. God has a unique plan for you. God is excited about the unique plan He has for you, and you should be, too. Every day, through social media, we see the highlight reels of hundreds of our closest friends. On Facebook and Instagram, everyone seems to be living his or her best life now. Of course, what's presented there is often far from reality. Nonetheless, for driven people, the pressure to compete even in ministry can be intense. And so, we feel we must work harder to catch up to our peers. But God's plan for each of us is unique. Allow God's words to the prophet Jeremiah to transcend time and speak to you today. I know the plans I have for you, plans for good, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29 verse 11, emphasis added. It's crucial to find contentment in the plan God has for you. We each are given grace to do different things, not to copy each other. God created you for a purpose. Copying others is missing your purpose in life, your greatest purpose. We must be careful that our tasks don't define us. Jesus didn't die to set us on a treadmill of things to do, as world-changing as they may be. First and foremost, He came to restore the relationship with God for which we were primarily created. Check marks on your to-do list don't determine your value. The number of heads bowed at the altar call doesn't either. To be God's friend is His greatest purpose for you. And if you do nothing else, that's enough. Note, I want to be clear here, there is nothing wrong with having goals. We should have goals. We should be passionate and work hard for the things that will make our lives better. But we need to be realistic about where accomplishing these goals will get us. Being a better father, husband, mom, a better wife, skinnier, more accomplished, whatever. Those things can make your life easier in some ways, but they will never make you worth more as a person.